Hello, hello, welcome to Mindset to Results. And today our guest is Jim Shoopack. He is our amazing guest, and he overcame depression two times in his life and will share today his experience. And as we know, our podcast audience are driven business owners, entrepreneurs, and we know how difficult sometimes it can be to start business, to grow business, and we know many entrepreneurs have experience overwhelm or depression or insomnia. And I believe that this conversation will be very, very helpful, not only for people who have depression, but also how they can prevent, maybe, yes, prevent. And if they already feel that depression is there, so how they can use this experience which Jim will share today, which can help them also to overcome their hard time and be again happy and see how they can help more people. Hi, Jim.
Hi, how are you, Elena?
I am great. Thank you so much for being guest on our podcast and willingness to share your story, because it is not always too easy to share story and know that people will see and hear, and you don't know what they will think. But it is really so important that we come for such platforms as podcast and share our experience, our life challenges, how we overcame them, because it can help so many people. We know we live now in such a time that so many people experience anxiety, overwhelm, stress, and it is not always that even medicine can help them, and it is not even always that they need medicine. Yes, in many cases, they really need somebody like you, Jim, who can share and tell that you can do that also. Yes, that they can see that somebody won that battle and they have that they can borrow your trust. Yes, and that confidence that also they can do that about your life experience with our audience.
No, thank you. Yeah, it wasn't easy at first to be able to talk about it, but I think all of us have a calling. Um, and they say like you have two most important days in your life. The one is your day you're born, and the other is the day you realize why you were born. And it might seem odd to people because here's a guy who's sharing about depression, mental his mental health, mental depressive disorder, but I really feel that's my calling. And people might think like that's a unique calling, but for me, I what I had gone through twice, and it just seems that everything in my life has led to that point. And just having the confidence to be able to speak, I in the past have had people tell me like, because you spoke about your depression and were very open, I didn't kill myself. Or because of that, I was able to speak with my parents and tell them how I felt, and we were able to get help. And when you hear that, it's very humbling because you realize that, like, you went through this, and maybe part of the reason or the entire reason was to be able to share. And I don't know, like I'm a Catholic, devout Catholic. My religion, like, I'm very close to God, and I for me it was just, what am I supposed to do with this, God, and like I even before our podcast, I said, Holy Spirit, just tell me what I'm supposed to do, tell me where I'm, and that just happens to be the way it is. But I'm also fortunate to be surrounded by very good people who are very willing to accept me for who I am. Like, they know that I am not, I've been very fortunate to, because of the depression, I believe, like, to have the perseverance, extra perseverance of, like, I earned my doctorate in education. So I mean, technically, like, I'm a teacher as well, so my students refer to me as Dr. Shoopack. And but it's so to have that perseverance to continue on, and even like having accomplished, I've completed 21 marathons for mental health awareness. I would not have completed one if I didn't have that perseverance, nor what the depression had taught me, as far as your mind is very powerful, more powerful than we give it credit for. And it could be your best friend, but it can also be your worst enemy. And I think, when you surround yourself with good people, people that you can be your authentic self with, people that you can, and that includes, I'm fortunate to have three dogs. They're all laying next to me. You can't see them right now, but I call them my angels in fur, and they gave me unconditional love. And I think it's just important to surround yourself with those good people, because I've had people in the past when I had my first depression, um, who told me that I was weird for having that. They didn't understand the complexity. They didn't understand. There was the stigma, and they unfortunately fed into the stigma. But saying words like that to someone who is happy to have a an assessment that, yes, what I feel and how I feel is depression, that's a big deal for someone, because they realize, like, wow, how I felt has a name and I can get help for it. And if somebody would say that, like, oh, that's weird, you're weird for, you don't know where that person is in life, and it could lead to someone taking their own life. So I think words are very valuable, and how you approach someone, and how, because everyone is fighting their own battle. Every person has suffered some sort of trauma. Some it's very light, some it's more severe. And how, like, trauma can lead to depression. It can lead to, and it could be something that's more minor, but it could lead to something that's more major. So I think it's valuable to share our experiences, or to have people that you can be authentic with and truly share your authentic experiences, the good and the bad, the good and the people that will celebrate with you, and the bad and the people that will kind of sit with you quietly, or will put their arm around you and say, I know this is tough for you, but if you need anything, I am here for you. I am willing to do whatever you need. So that just some big things that I have learned from that.
Mhm. Yes, yes, thank you for sharing. It can be really difficult when you go through that time of depression and it looks like nobody understands. Yes, nobody understands what is going on. And this is how you can really see, are those people really your friends, right? Like, they
Oh
are they
yeah.
for you when you have hard time, as we have this saying that the friends can be known in difficult situation. This is how really
Mhm.
everybody show who they really are.
Oh yeah, and I have people that I thought were my friends who were not supportive at all. I don't I don't need that negativity. So, like, I I hope they're okay in life. I hope, nothing bad happens, but I don't talk to those people anymore. But then I
Mm.
have others that, you know I thought were friends, and they became more like family. They're not blood relatives, but I consider them like a sister or a brother, or because they were there for me when I needed the help. And I will always do, if they need something right away, I will do it for them, because when I was at my worst, they were at their best, and they were able to just support me. And that's all you need, is just that person who believes in you. It could be just one person, but that whatever you say, however you feel, they're going to be there for you. And that's more valuable than gold.
Yes, as you said, you know that they're there for you. It means so much that you don't even need them to do anything. Just as you said, just to know that there is somebody who is there for you, who
Mhm.
understands you, and this is in itself can be so much support. Yes, even if you don't even expect them to do anything, but just being there for you, you know that these are people you can refer to them anytime, and this will already is so much helpful and can give you that power and peace.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And like again, like there's people that were the ones that weren't there for me. You know what? Maybe they were in my life for the period of time that they were supposed to be, and that's it. And then the ones that really stepped it up, they will, as far as I'm concerned, I want them in my life forever. As a friend, a like a not a biological brother or sister, but as a they really I feel like they're family to me because of the fact that when I needed someone or people to be really authentic, to set me for just who I was, just to be there. And
Mhm.
some of those people I have mentioned in my dissertation, like just in the acknowledgments, just of because they were there for me, they helped me get past the finish line. They helped me get to where I am today. They helped me to just appreciate who I am and to have the confidence to do what I'm doing right now that you've gratefully, allowed me to do, Ellen. And that's to just speak about mental health, to speak about, because based on the statistics, one in every four people will have a mental illness in their lifetime. Now, that's based on statistics and prior statistics. Based on my knowledge with speaking with my therapist, because I do go to a therapist every week, and my doctor, my medical doctor, um, we all think that it could be up to half of the people, maybe 50%, who will suffer some sort of mental illness in their life. And especially in the life we live now, the post COVID life. Um, Even like, you had mentioned to me about, leaving the Ukraine and a lot of war and a lot of like throughout the world. And it's just very discouraging to see the world that we live in, that I think when you can shed some light and really be that light for somebody, that's so important to do, and I give you a lot of credit because of what you had shared with me, being able to create your own business, and that's inspirational. That's phenomenal. That is so, you know I give you all the credit in the world because I don't know what that's like, but I know that that is not easy. I can tell you that. So to give you the resilience, and being part Ukrainian myself, I'm very proud of, like that just, yeah, that's phenomenal. And it just shows the resilience that a person can have when your back is against the wall. And the same, like for me, it's a different type of war per se, but like the battle of my mind with the depression. And when my back was truly against the wall, I did need friends to help me, to keep me on this earth. Because the reason I know it was major depressive disorder is the worst parts of it can be you have hallucinations, you have thoughts of suicide. That's not who I am, Elena. I'm usually the person who's pulling pranks. I'm the person who likes to see other people smile, and I might do something goofy or wacky to get them to smile. So people who know me very well will realize that that's not who Jim is. He would never do something like that. So that's also the battle, like the battle that I had in my mind raging, and we're learning more about depression, the stigma of mental illness. But my hope is to mitigate the stigma, to limit it. I mean, it will be difficult in my lifetime to completely erase it, but I'm going to do my part to do whatever I can. And there might be somebody who's listening right now who is suffering and might think to themselves, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can continue to live. I don't know. Trust me, I was there. 4 years ago, I suffered through it for like an entire summer of just, I call it was just hell. And I mean, it was awful. I had thoughts of suicide continuously. I had voices in my head telling me essentially, you can make the pain go away. Here's a knife, right? Like, where the knives are, where take it and I can make the pain go away. Talking to my priest, we think it was somewhat demonic. And again, not all, like my first bout, I don't think was at all. I think that was just, I was going through, I was a youth leader at my church. I wasn't earning a lot of money. I was basically on the poverty line. I lived with my parents. I loved what I did, but I was getting closer to 30 years old. And at 25, I had in my mind, okay, 25, I'll be married, I'll have kids. Well, 25 came and went. I wasn't married. I had no kids. I wasn't dating or any, not that I wasn't looking, but, and then I get close to, I was about 26, 27, and that's when it kind of hit the first bout. And it was, again, I had like the thoughts of suicide. I was very angry at anything, very impatient. Long and short of it, the serotonin level in your brain. We all have this. Everyone has it, and there's neurons in your brain. And if you think of it as a cell phone, like there's like the cell phone itself, which is your brain, and then you have the neurons, which are kind of like the transmitters, like the towers, and each person has to get the serotonin from one neuron to another, and sometimes it slows down, and that's called a chemical imbalance. And so sometimes you have to take medicine to get it to speed up again. Um, and that's almost like if you have a cell phone, all of us pretty much do. If your brain is functioning normally, it's like you have 5 bars or 4 bars, like it's clear connection. But if you're depending on your depression, major depression, you're operating basically on, I don't want to say no bars, but you're very close to no bars. So if that's any kind of, I try to give people that comparison because it helps them to realize that, yeah, if there's no bars, you can't make the call, and if there's no bars, your energy, there's nothing that, like, you don't have the power to and the energy to do much of anything. I can recall sitting on my when I lived with my parents the first bout, on the sofa, and just I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to be left alone. And during the second bout, in my house where I am now, I would just want to stay in on the recliner, and I didn't want to. I was afraid to leave the house. I was afraid to leave the house because I had um, situations in my mind that I thought would happen, but it wasn't me really doing it. It was the mind that was tricking me, because the serotonin levels, the happy feelings, the good feelings, it helps you to want to do other things in life. And when I lacked the serotonin, and some of that could have come from a previous seizure disorder that I have, because there's already a chemical imbalance. I don't know for sure. I tell my friends, one day I pray to ask God what was going on. But for now, this is just, where it's at. So I think it's just important people realize that if you do get major depressive disorder, there's nothing like wrong with you as far as like, you might think you're going insane, but it's a matter of getting help, professional help, going to see a doctor, getting therapy. Talk therapy is can be helpful too. Like I see my therapist now. I go every week and I talk to her. I'm in a much better place than I was before. But if it's any just to give you an idea, Len, she had told me when I had started, I was one of the worst cases she had in 30 years of therapy. And how I was able to, in about 7 to 8 weeks, get to maybe about an 80% better place. She said, I've never had a person who has achieved that in that short a period of time. And a lot of it, I did a lot of prayer. Medicine, tried to walk. My wife was incredibly supportive. When they say, through good times and bad times, till death do us part. Well, it's easy to be there through the good times, but she was definitely there through the bad times. So I picked the right one.
Yeah, so would you tell what helped you to make such a significant improvement within 6 weeks?
During the second bout, a lot of it, what I, well, it was, I knew I had depression from the first time. So, like the second time, I realized it because I had the symptoms. Like my brain was very cloudy. I couldn't really process any ideas, no thoughts, no nothing. Um, and I had thoughts of suicide. I had hallucinations. So this is not normal. This is not something that I do. And I don't use, and I never have used any illegal drugs, not, because this would be something that perhaps someone who had used heavy illegal drugs might experience. Never, I don't smoke. I can't tell you the last time I had an alcoholic beverage, maybe 6 months ago. I'd like to have like, but that's it. So it's not like I was doing anything negative to my body. So what I essentially did was I made an appointment with my doctor. I also made an appointment with a therapist, and I was able to see the therapist within the next couple days, but it's online. It was virtual because this was post COVID. And I have to preface this, Elena, by saying this was after the sudden death of my brother, who was one of my very good friends. And he had died by suicide. And he had suffered from depression, but because of COVID and everything that was going on, it was more difficult for him to see a medical professional, um, just due because of COVID. So it was more people that were seeing therapists, more people going to see psychiatrists. It was so he got to a place where unfortunately it just became too much for him. But for me, what I did was I did go to therapy right away. I went to see my doctor right away. I My prayer life was I would go to church regularly daily, like even just receiving the Eucharist. Um, my priest had told me, I'd ask for blessings, like please, and he told me, he's like, Jim, the most powerful thing that you can do is receive the Eucharist because it's the blood of or the body of Christ. I would go, my wife and I would go regularly because it happened in the summer. And I'm a school teacher, so I was off in the summer. So I was able to do that. Um, my wife and I would go for walks twice a day, uh, just because the anxiety that also encompassed my brain would, it would kind of get, and it would say, well, you're not doing anything. You're just sitting here. You're just sitting here. Like, and I would say, okay, I got to go for a walk. But I had to take my wife with me because I was afraid of myself. I was afraid of what I would do. So she would support me. Um, I learned about some of the saints who had suffered through depression, through anxiety, who I have asthma as well. There's a famous priest named Padre Pio from Italy. I'm very devout with him, St. Michael the Archangel. So I use my faith life and to really help get me across, to help just until the medicine started really working, until the therapy started to really work. My faith life was instrumental to keeping me here because it was like walking a tightrope. And there were days that actually every day, I didn't want to be here. But that tightrope, my faith and the love that I felt from my wife, my parents, some very good friends that I trusted with this, my dogs, even. Um, that is what kept me here. So, and to be able to just have this conversation today, if it weren't for them, I hesitate to think where I would be right now because I don't think it would be alive on this earth. So, it, that's really the big thing.
Yes, it is so important to have support and just people who can even be with you in silence. Yeah, just be there for you without even like. impacting their opinion, or what.
Yes.
Just create this space that whatever you need to be for you, and just to support you in everything, and to see that yourself is healthy. And this is so familiar with me when my daughter got depressed after we left Ukraine.
Mm,
And what symptoms you say now, this is all happened to her. She
I
had
see.
hallucination, uh, panic attacks. She was fainting just in my hands. She was like crying. He was scared. I was holding her, and then look at her, and she's unconscious. And it was so scary to have child
Yeah.
unconscious. I do not, you don't want to know what to do. And in this situation, I remember what helped me, that I never let myself to think about her that she's sick. Yes, I was there for her, but in my mind, I rejected that idea that she's sick. Like it looked like I rejected to accept this reality, and
Mm,
I was seeing her as healthy. I was seeing her as healthy, cheerful as she always was. And I was just supporting her, telling her that you're a genius. Every day, every morning, I woke up, I was going to her, and I started the day telling that how beautiful she is, how
that's good.
how creative, smart, and I just repeating, and I was asking like, "Are you beautiful?" And she's yes. "Are you genius?" Yes. Are you creative?" Yes. "Are you smart?" And I just tell it, and I'm waiting her to tell yes, and this we were doing it every day, and then she, through repetition, she accepted that she's genius, and then she started believing that she's genius. And this is how what helped her to recover. Yes, this is also very interesting method.
No, and I have to give you credit because as her parent, and I know in because I've done podcasts in different countries, and in other countries sometimes they don't accept if you're depressed, or they don't accept, and it's almost like it's looked down on. So I God bless you, and I'm so happy that you were her mother, and I'm sure she loves that you are her mother, because that's what you need. That's what a child needs. That's what, yeah, an adult need, is just someone who's going to be there and realize that no matter what you are loved. You are loved. You're and that is one thing, because in probably in her brain, and I don't know, but in mine, I was feeling like, oh, you're not worthy. You are terrible. Even far worse. I won't use everything, but it wasn't me talking. This was the depression talking. But hearing that, like, no, you are a genius. You are pretty. You are, that get trying to reverse those thoughts, those negative thoughts. Hearing that would definitely help. So God bless you. That's awesome. That is because that's why I think it's so important that people, if they are going through a depressive disorder, that they surround themselves with good people, with people who authentically love them, and like, even I have a very good friend who is there for me both through both depressions. And I call her my sister. She's not biologically related, but I love her like a sister, because she was there for me during the first depression, and when my wife had to go to work at first during the second depression. And she would just sit here, or I was afraid to be alone, and I said, hey, can you just come over, and I just need to take a nap, because I need to escape this world for a while, and if I sleep I can escape the. And she, oh yeah, I'll just be downstairs and I'll watch TV. And I'm okay, thank you, and that was just priceless and so important. So, like, it sounds like you have, the same thing. And we each are going to have our struggles in life, but having that person that will not leave you regardless of that struggle is so important.
Yes, yes, definitely. My daughter says every day that she's so happy that I'm her mother. Yes, this is
Okay, see, I see, there you go. How old is she?
17.
Okay, okay, gotcha. God bless her. That's fantastic, though. God chose a great mother for her, which is good. I'm glad. Yeah, yeah, and so I can definitely understand. Like, And I know it's not easy to always see. It's not easy to see a person you care about go through that, because it can be, it could take energy from you as a parent, as a friend. It's secondary trauma, and but just ensuring that, like, look, I'm gonna do whatever I can to help you feel better, and you got her the help that she needs. That's the important thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. It is really scary as a parent to see what is going with the child, especially when doctors cannot
Yeah.
give any diagnosis. Like we went to emergency when she had very severe panic attack and fainted. And then after that, they kept us 6 hours just in waiting room to wait there in the night to wait the doctor, and then doctor didn't find anything. And then on the way when I was driving back, again she had another panic attack. So we were spending all night, and again the same in the car on the way back, and we had nothing, no medicine, nothing at all. And I didn't know like what I'm going to do. And she also was so scared, and she was like in the house, she was screaming, I don't want to die. And because the stress she had, it also impacted her stomach. She was starting getting severe pain in stomach, and then saying that my stomach paining, and then she started getting wounds on her hands. So you just
Yep.
see like in front of your eyes, like it is just going like worse and worse, and you really have to have that very big strength of your mind to, in that all situation, keep that image that she is healthy and happy. And this is, I believe that when we create this image in energetic field, this is what helps us to recover. I mean, her recover, because when people are sick and other people come to them and start crying and seeing that, oh, it is so bad, bad, everything bad, it is creating more that negative like loop and taking you
Yes.
down to that spiral. So it is really needs resilience. Yes, resilience, and not letting yourself to go down because it is so strong. Like it feels like your just energy just get all drained from you and nothing stays. And yeah, so I think that at that time I also had a sort of depression because it is was going a lot. We just had left Ukraine. My mother was 85. We hardly brought her UK. She fainted 2 times on the way. Then my daughter, and everything just new country. I had to start life from scratch, having nothing, no support, no relatives, even to ask for help, nobody at all. So it was such a big load on me. So I also myself was very, very like just how to say, just finding that way how to keep myself on the surface. But I really understood that mind is so powerful, and we can overcome. It takes time, but when we see that what we want to see and keep that image and not let our circumstances to get all the picture, it helps a lot, and we could overcome the situation without even any medication.
Mm.
Because when I go to a psychologist for her, and a psychologist had a Zoom call with her because Karina was not even in condition to go to London. She was very weak. She couldn't,
Oh, yep.
was like very weak. So, yes, and after this Zoom call, the psychiatrist prescribed her some medicine. But when I read the side effect, I said, no, I'm not going to give her this.
Mm.
It just was my like intuition and my.
Yeah.
So this is how I was just speaking with her, just positive, being with her, telling her every day that she's genius, that she can understand, she can win. Also, one thing that helped, I remember that I was telling her that your brain is not you. I think this was very powerful. When I taught her to identify those negative thoughts and separate those thoughts from herself,
mm,
And I was telling her that you are stronger than your brain. The brain is just a program. There's negative programs, and those voices is not you. So I was teaching her to separate herself. So I told her, like, you are strong, you are genius, you are in this world to create something amazing, impactful, to help people, to create something, even to heal. And those voices, it is just some negative like viruses, and your task now to eliminate those viruses and get your strength back. And this is how I help her. And then she started seeing, oh, those voices are not me, it is just virus, so I understand it is not me. Because in the beginning, as she told me, it was so difficult for her to think, because she says like there were like so many like threads in one place, and all
mm,
is connected, and you cannot understand like what is to what, like all thoughts are just coming together, and as you said, it is like a cloud. Yes, like you don't even
mm,
start thinking something, and you don't get like how it connects to anything else. So this was, I think, very important when I taught her to understand that she is stronger than her brain. And I told her that you can teach your brain to be your friend. So
mhm,
let's eliminate those viruses and make your brain your friend. So you speak to your brain. So I taught her how to speak to her brain to make her brain her friend. And this is
mm,
how she started speaking with her brain. And I started from identifying that her brain is not her. I said, you are much bigger than your brain. Your brain is just a program, it is just a radio. Radio just receives those signals, wrong station. And you have to change your station. You have to connect to different station, like radio. Right now, you connected to this like AM, and you receive these
mm,
signals. You go have to raise your vibration. Let's go to FM, and we will listen different programs. And this is how she started understanding, oh, this is virus, this is, I don't want this program, I have to change program, so which thoughts I want. So we have to, and then how I started getting her program, that you're a genius, you are superstar, you're so beautiful, you're so creative, you are here for the mission. And this all was the treatment. We didn't use any medication at all. It is just really fantastic. I just was giving her vitamins, good
mm,
food, and just spoke with her like this. And in time, she that part won. And this is how she started speaking with her brain. And and it's still now. Sometimes her brain tells her, for example, if like even yesterday, we had a little like my mother had operation yesterday, heart
mm,
they put stent because she had heart attack, and I was very like in these thoughts. I was thinking about my mother. My daughter was asking something else, and we had a little bit like I was stressed, and then I told her something, and she got sad. And then automatically later she told me that she started getting these thoughts that about herself, that I am so bad person, how I disappointed my mother, so I don't have right to live. You just think about this.
mhm,
Automatically this just words, this just thoughts come. And later we spoke, like I usually speak very fast to her if I see some. So yesterday we discussed, and she said, yes, it's just automatically all those thoughts comes. And but now I know that is not my thoughts. Yes, of course, you're so beautiful human being. And it is just, yes, it is so, so really when we understand that this, as you said, your priest told that it is something demonic. Yes, it is like, yes, it is just something like impact, like when I would say those, I don't know, demons, what do you call it, like when they see people in low frequency, it's look like, oh, this is our client now, let's now
mhm,
work. It's look like that, because people in this, like when they're upset, they don't realize that their energy very like drops, and they are in that low frequency, and this is how they let those demons or whatever impact them. And as you said, it is not our thoughts, it's not their thoughts, it is just like brain gets to that frequency where all those negative, like negative station. Yes, and in
mhm,
that frequency, you like a radio just connects to that station, And brain as the receiving and the sending just signal station just picks up those thoughts. So it is not our thoughts, it is just that channel thoughts. And it is why so important to be on higher frequency. Yes, that we connect to different channel with inspiring powerful thoughts. And yeah, all about energy.
Yeah, no, no, no. I agree, and even like talking about energy because I'm a big proponent of energy. Like, I believe in the value of that because it goes back to the people that you have in your life and that you allow in your life. I always look at every interaction as almost like okay. So here I'll explain it. An investment or an expenditure. And what I mean by that is if I'm talking to someone, say my wife, my parents, and we have a good conversation, which we always do, that's an investment. And I feel better about like, wow, I feel really good. This was a good conversation. We had good time together. That's an investment of our time, an investment of our energy. But if there's people that I speak to regularly that when I always leave them, I feel like very frustrated. Oh my gosh, why am I talking to this person? It's the same thing over and over. They're so negative. Well, that's an expenditure of your energy. It's like in a bank account. Well, if you're investing, that's a good thing. If you're always spending, that's not a good thing. You know, so I kind of evaluate the people that I have in my life that way as well. And like I'm a soccer coach or football, however you want to call it, not American football, but soccer, for the girls' soccer team at my school. And the coaches that I coach with are amazing people. They're wonderful people. I've coached there for almost 20 years. But every year, I think like, oh, it's a lot of time, a lot of energy. It's time away from my wife, from my parents, my dogs. But I love doing it. The students are good. They're really good people. Um, so whenever I see them, it's an expenditure of energy, but it's not. It's an investment of energy. It's good energy, but it's like when I start seeing that it's always a spending the energy and I'm not getting anything back, that's when I'll know, okay, maybe I need to do something else. So I think like that's how I've looked at that. But yeah, um, just even just and regardless of some people are in favor of medication. Like for me, I thought I needed it and I still take it, but not everyone does. And I do know, like, I understand what you're saying too, Elena, because some of the antidepressants will cause you to feel worse. So that's where, like, for anyone who is taking them, you have to really be true to yourself and true to your feelings, and have a couple people or just one who at least you can say like, hey, these medicines are not helping me at all. They're making me feel worse. I need to get them changed or I need to do something else. Because that is one of the drawbacks. And I was fortunate that the one that I took the first time helped me this time. Like, so it still worked. But I definitely understand what you mean, because there are some significant drawbacks to certain antidepressants, that so you really have to be careful with the ones that you take, and if you do take them, be careful of your feelings, because they can even make you feel worse as opposed to doing what they should do, which is making you feel better. But again, it goes with the power of the mind. And like, I don't know what the saying is, but they say something like you only use a certain percentage of your mind, blah blah blah. I sorry, percentage. And but I truly think like we're underusing our abilities, like, to a degree. I'm not saying everyone, but I think in general, like, our mind is so powerful that sorry, it's my one dog, that it can be scary, but it can be scary good and scary bad. Like, it's good where if you're using your capabilities to help other people, to I will even tell people, I say, I need to know two different things about everyone I meet. Like, how do you treat animals and how do you treat people who can't quote unquote pay you back, who can't, like, who just maybe the homeless person on the street, or just how do you treat those people? Those are people that I want to know how you're treated, because that helps me to know more about the type of person that you are. Like for me, I've actually gone so far, and I'm not saying people have to do this, to be vegetarian just because I don't want to eat any meat. Now, again, that's just me. I'm not saying that people have to do that, but for me, I just, in good conscience, that's what I did. Just because I don't want people to say to me, "Well, you still eat this or that." I said, "No, I'm all plant based." Now, because of medicine I take, because of stress, I do need to lose weight. And I was hoping that, the vegetarian lifestyle will help me to do that, because after my brother had died, and I got my doctorate, it it was a challenge to lose weight, because a lot of the time that I had invested into running, into exercise, it was then used into earning my doctorate. It was, which is, oh my gosh, not easy. Put it that way. It definitely was a challenge. I'm writing my dissertation, and then making sure that my wife, then she got cancer after she's fine now, but she got ovarian cancer not long after I was better with my depression. So our whole life has been recently very, it's been a roller coaster. And I'm not trying to compare it to other people's trauma. It's just we've had our own, type of trauma as well, where, and then making sure my parents are okay. My mom is 86, my dad is 80. So fortunately, they're in very good health. But I still think about them often, about, hey, are they okay? They only live 3 miles from me, about 5 kilometers. So, which is good. So I'm going to go over there to check on them later today, just see how they're doing, but those are some of the big things, like just, kind of making sure that you have the right people in your life, and taking care of those people, because if they took care of you, if you, try to give back. And I even will tell some of my soccer players, if they need a letter of recommendation, they're like, "Oh, thank you so much, this and that, can I help you with that?" I said, "No, I don't need anything." I said, "Just you do your best job, and when you're able to help somebody else, pay it forward. You just help somebody else when you're able to." And that's all I ask, because I was able to do this now, and I feel like that's where I am in my life. And I'm blessed to do that, to be able to help others. And now it's like, pray for me, please. That's one thing I ask, but please help other people. Help. That's the biggest thing I asked them to do. Or, you know, love your dog or cat, something like that. It's just such an important thing, I think, to have more energy, more love in the world, because as we both know, like, it's a very cruel world. And I think the more that we can inspire others to light the candle that of their life, to help other people, to provide, to use our experiences to help others, I think that's such a gift, to just be able to do that. I'm just my 2 cents, my experiences, my thoughts, but I really think, like, we were given the ability to help other people, but we also have, like, you know, we have the choice. We could either hurt people or help people. It's not, and I don't want to hurt anyone. That's just not who I am. I my parents, I think they raised me correct. I know they did. I shouldn't say I think. I know they did. And it's, for me, it's like, just, I want to help other people. Like, I know in our country, I don't want to talk too much about the administration, but I'm my mom came from another country. My great grandparents came from the Ukraine. So obviously, I think immigrants have a lot to provide for our country, and I think it's important for us to see, that there's a lot of value, there's a lot of hard work that comes, because my great grandparents came from the Ukraine with a back, like, basically a book, or a suitcase, and that's it. Like, so you unfortunately have an idea. And they found a home, they made a life for themselves here in the United States. And I think it's just so important to value what, the immigrants pay, because in the United States, unless you're Native American, you're an immigrant. We came from Europe, we came from South America, we came from so that's just how so that's my thoughts on that. But I think it's important that and if we help them, like to help people, because we could have like I tell my students, I could have just as easily been born in a third world country and not had these opportunities to get a doctorate. To like I've done service work in Central America, in Honduras, Nicaragua, El Salvador, in Mexico. I've done service work. To do in the United States, I've done service work, but I've been fortunate to be the one who's able to serve, as opposed to be served. And it's humbling to be able to do that, because I think when you give, I think we receive 10 times. We just the way you feel about it. It's just nice to be able to put a smile on someone's face. It's nice to be able to tell someone like, hey, even my students, they come from broken down homes. Some of them, not all of them, but some, about 50%, don't have a male or female, living with them. And I might say, like, oh, that's a nice shirt you have on, or that's a nice dress you have on. And these are sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, so 11, 12, 13-year olds. That might be the only time someone recognizes, and puts a smile on their face. And I think it's just so important. Our world needs more of that positive energy, and more of that drive to do more, and take those negative experiences like both of us have, and to do something good with them. Because I think we go through that, and it's like you can either feel bad for yourself, or you could say, no, I want to help other people. I want to help them to I want them to realize, like I say for myself, I want people who are going through depression to realize that there's something beautiful on the other side of the pain that you feel right now. And there really is. You may not believe it, but trust me, I didn't believe it for a while. But trust me, I there is. And and that's just so important. It's just so valuable to provide that, so other people can see you as someone that they can relate to, and say, like, wow, look what they did, and maybe their situation was worse than mine, or whatever. But it's just important. And for me, if talking about depression, and what I've been blessed and humbled to do because of that, it it definitely is. It's a calling, but I love it. It's like I've dove into that, and I've leaned into it, and God has said, hey, this is what I want you to do. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. And it's been great.
Yes, exactly. This is also like my daughter now. She goes to this year, she will study in the college, and she choose psychology, and she
Hmm.
wants to help people with mental diseases, and she also want to study psychology, neuroscience, to create devices to help them to get to different frequencies. So she learned so much from her experience, and now she's writing books, she's writing stories, and it is definitely was very positive, because now she understands how many people she can help. Yes,
Yeah.
who in this situation which she went through. Yes.
And
Mhm.
no, I'm sorry. No, I was going to say, and the fact that she had a lived experience, she can really meet the people she's helping at a different level than someone who has not had the lived experience, and
Mhm.
is reading the books and trying to understand, but doesn't have that same lived experience. Because my wife was also a psychology major, and it's the same thing. She had her own trauma, yeah, from her parents growing up. Her dad left the family when she was 13, and her mom died. So she was raised by her grandparents, but she went through a lot as well. And she studied psychology, and now she helps students who have a diagnosed mental illness. So it's like she can relate to them. So it's wonderful to see people like my wife, like your daughter, who are taking those experiences and
Mm-hmm.
using them and saying, like, I'm not going to let that experience limit who I am. I want to help other people who have that experiences. And that puts a big smile on my face. Like, just that's awesome. And like, even like for me, I'm in the process, pardon me, of writing a transformative memoir where I'm taking my experiences, but hopefully having teachable moments. Like, because there's people can have loss, like for example, loss of a loved one, my brother, but then also loss of yourself, where like that was me when I was 25 and I thought I'd be married and have children, and I didn't. And then I went through the depression. So it could be loss of what your expectations are for yourself, and just not comparing yourself to other people. Because if I would compare myself to some other people who are very famous or who have a lot of money, well, it could be depressing. uh, but at the same time, I don't do that. I just try to be a better version of myself today than I was yesterday, and I and just go from there. But yeah, so it's just so important that, and the fact that she's sharing stories and writing, that's good, because I think there are more people that need to know that there is hope, that need to know that, I went through this, and if you are going through it or a loved one is going through it, that you can get through this, or you can help them get through this. And the sake of, my with my brother, unfortunately, I hope to give people closure that, like my priest told me, you can't should on yourself, meaning I should have done this, or I should have done that, or I should have helped here. He got me to think like you did everything you could. My parents, the same thing. And that really helped me a lot. That helped me to get closure. But I want to help other people to get their closure, because I think like the podcast that will help people, and I appreciate you having me on, because I think that will help people who are listening, and in a book, help people who might be reading that, you know what, I've been blaming myself forever, but maybe it's not my fault that this happened. And you can also take that person's life and do other things in honor of that person, like to hopefully help other people. That, because I would have never said that, I would always read about, oh, a suicide happened. I said, oh my gosh, like that's terrible. But never in a million years, Elena, would I have thought that would happen in my family, and my immediate family. Never in a million years. Like, so I think it's just important that if you feel you're called to write and feel like you're called to speak about it, and you get the opportunity, do it, because you're going to be able to impact positively so many people, like who they've been praying to hear what that person is going through or had gone through. And here you might be the answer to their prayer. Like, somebody give me hope that I'm not the, at fault, or what did I did wrong. And you probably
Mm-hmm.
didn't do anything wrong. It's just, so I think that's just so valuable, that people, if you are willing to share, it could be in a small group, it could be, in on a podcast, it could be a book, it could be whatever. Like, but I felt called to do that. And that's what I've been doing mostly this summer, to get a memoir, to hopefully get published, from one of the publishing companies. I have to still talk to different agents about it, but to hopefully, and I hate to use this word so much, to give hope. I think our world needs more hope. And if I can provide hope to one person, two people, 10 people, hopefully more, I would love to over 100,000 people. I would love, but it starts with that first person. And if I can do that, and I value people like your daughter, who is writing and who wants to do that to help other people.
Yes, thank you so much, Jim, for your time and sharing
No,
about your experience and this conversation. I'm sure that it is so helpful, and people can listen and learn so much from you and what we discussed, and see that it is okay sometimes to go through that, and it is not the end. Yes, you can overcome that. And if you need any help, people who are listening to us now, reach out to us, reach out to Jim, reach out to me, comment under this video. We would like to have your feedback. If you have any questions, right, and we will answer. Reach out to us, and we always are here for you. And if you need any help, just let us know.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Just and if I could just say, like, just remember to the person who might be going through it, you are worth the help. You are valuable. If you left the world today, people would be destroyed. Whoever, people would, but your mind might be telling you that you're worthless. Your mind is lying to you. Your mind,
Yeah.
that's not God talking to you. Like, that's the way I look at it. Like, just remember, you are valuable. You're a child of God. You are someone who deserves help. There is help out there. Like in the United States, we have what's known as the 988 crisis line, where you can call or you can text. I think in England it might be Good Samaritans. I think. I'm not 100% sure, just because I'm more in tune to what we are doing here in the United States. But there are helplines out there that you can call. And again, in the United States, it's 988. It might be Good Samaritans in England. I don't know
Yes.
the number. Is it Good Samaritan? But so if you do look them up, I'm sure they can help you. They have people who are trained. They have people that, and in other countries too, they have usually their own call line, and that you can, and even though I'm not a professional psychologist, I mean, I have a doctorate, but it's an education, but I have lived experiences. And if someone wanted to contact me, I can't write a prescription, but I can tell you, or if you wanted to say, hey, I feel this way, did you ever feel that way? I'm happy to confirm, like, yes, I did, or no, I didn't, or, but if you need somebody to just, I don't, to just help support you in, okay, what are the next steps? What should I do next? What do I need? Just reach out to me, because I'm happy to help that person. Like, even sometimes it's, where do I go now? I know I think I have this, but I don't know, what do I do now? And it's like, sometimes you just need somebody who has more clarity in mind to just say, okay, well, you do this, this, and this. Even my priest said, when I was going through it, Jim, do three different things every day, and that you will feel accomplished. One could be get out of bed, one could be go to the bathroom, and I love coffee, and three could be get coffee. And then until soon, you'll realize that you are accomplishing more and more, and those three things that you used to accomplish, you don't even count anymore. So that was a big help to me too. So, but yeah, I appreciate, Elena, like, what you're doing, and just thank you for giving me the opportunity. And I give you and your daughter a lot of credit for what you've had to unfortunately overcome, but incredibly happy and proud of you for doing, just being where you are and what you're doing now to help so many people. I mean, you know, that's awesome. I
Yes.
don't my only Ukrainian I know is Slava Isuzu Christu, because my grandparents used to have a sign, because they're part Ukrainian, that said that in their window. So I could say that.
Yes, thank you so much, Jim, for being amazing guest and
No,
sharing
thank you.
story. And I'm looking forward to meet you again in our future episodes.
I hope so. Thank you so much, Elena. Yes, have a wonderful day and God bless you.
You too. Bye bye.
Thank